For many, Africa is a vast wilderness, but in reality, it is home to more than 680 million people, many of whom are farmers. The truly wild places have become islands in a sea of agriculture. But there is one animal that moves like a phantom wherever it wishes. A solitary hunter that specializes in not being seen. An animal with little respect for fences that will not be contained. The leopard ranges from the coasts to the highest peaks. It has learnt to survive anywhere, even amongst man. Few people are as transfixed by this enigmatic creature as South African conservationist Kevin Richardson. Somewhere within these valleys, known locally as Mpunalanga, lurks a leopard like no other, a shadow. It is a beast of beauty, so rare that it's rumored to exist in legend only. This is Kevin's mission, to find this mysterious creature which haunts the ancient mountains and his imagination. It will become his obsession, an extraordinary journey that will change him forever. This, his quest for one of the most enduring legends of all. The black leopard. It's June, and the Lion Park, a busy tourist destination north of Johannesburg, South Africa, gleams in the sweet light of dawn. It is winter, and the park's residents, as they always do at this time of year, eagerly greet the morning sun. The big cats also take pleasure in the warmth, and before the heat of the day becomes uncomfortable, there's time for some exploration and play. Winter can get hot in this part of the world, for big and small. At the Lion Park, playtime and breakfast time often go hand in hand, much to the misfortune of the weak and unwary. But for Lion Park conservationist Kevin Richardson, playtime with the most ferocious animals on the planet is always just that, fun and games. The leopard is one of the animal kingdom's fiercest athletes. Like this leopard, Ono. Yet Kevin has an awesome ability to relate to even the most dangerous of animals. He grew up in Orange Grove in Johannesburg and has adored wildlife since childhood.
The last decade of my life has been absolutely incredible. Animal-filled, but not only animal-filled, big predators. It hasn't always been like that, though. It all started when I was just a cub myself. From crickets, earthworms, frogs, snakes, lizards, birds, through to animals like Jake, all the way up to the size of a lion. I've raised them all.
Your boy, what happened to your nose?
It's through love and respect, not whips and chains, that Kevin has won the hearts of these traditionally feared hunters.
But there's always been one carnivore that's intrigued me. That's the leopard. So when I got the opportunity to raise not just one, but 2 leopard cubs, I grabbed it with both hands. And what made these 2 leopard cubs extremely unique was the fact that they carried a major difference. They were black. Nice one, eh? Good boy. Good boy.
The black leopard is exactly the same species as the normal spotted leopard. Its fur also sports those famous rosettes, but it's the pigment melanin that makes it look black. Melanin also determines eye color. Brown eyes have lots of melanin. Blue eyes have a shortage of melanin. A white lion is the opposite of a black leopard. Its coat is white because of a distinct melanin lack. This means that the production of melanin along the hair shaft has been severely inhibited.
Nikita's just turned 4, and what would really be incredible is if Cole and Nikita mated. He's about 6 months older, and they're actually past the mating age. She should have really mated about half a year ago, so I'm pretty anxious to get them going. And the reason I say this is it would be incredible to have a little black leopard cub up at the top that I could show to the tourists that come to this park. I think it would be an incredible ambassador for black leopards. Now, not only for black leopards, but for leopards as a whole, for leopards as a species.
The leopard is such a solitary and elusive beast that no one quite knows how many roam South Africa's wilds. Yet the growth of mankind's footprint on Africa has destroyed much of the leopard's natural habitat, often driving it to farms where the livestock is abundant. When leopards become stock thieves, South African farmers fight back by killing them at all costs. Such cruel persecution has purged the leopard from much of the South African landscape. Since it's so difficult to count, South Africa's leopard is not even listed as endangered. But if this big cat is to survive into the future, Kevin believes he must persuade South Africans of the threat it faces. He's convinced a beautiful black leopard cub at the Lion Park would do just this, be a compelling eco-tourist attraction and a springboard to educate the public about the leopard's uncertain future.
Hello, sweetie.
Kevin is a trained physiologist. He often spends days recording the leopard's behavior for any signs of courtship. But there's nothing he can do to convince Cole and Nikita to mate. Nature will make that call.
It's been the 5th day in a row now that when I've approached Cole, he's given me a little bit of an aggressive look and, in fact, a growl. Now, this is not atypical of Cole, but the frequency has led me to think that there's something on the go. And when I look at Nikita's behavior, she's behaving strange too. She's very slinky, she's very affectionate, she's low slung in the grass, and whenever she sees me, she comes running up and, between the legs and giving all these funny little grunts and groans. Now, this is an amusing Cole. I think Nikita's coming into estrus.
Eventually, winter takes its leave. A new season blesses the Lion Park with a burst of life. Spring is contagious, it seems, for finally, Cole and Nikita begin their mating dance.
Absolutely amazing. I'm so happy, I can't believe it. 4 years down the line, it's really been something I've been wanting to achieve.
Kevin is wise to watch his back. This is a dangerous, passionate spectacle.
He sees me as a potential threat, and it doesn't take much for a leopard to fly at you. You hear that? You hear that kind of like a high pitch. especially there. After he's mated, he bites her on the back of the neck, and as he withdraws, he's actually got little barbs on his penis, and when he withdraws, it actually cuts her, and that's what causes her to turn around and give him a bit of a swipe. And he bites on the back of the neck as well, but once he withdraws, he's looking for the next thing to give a good smack to if it's in his way. He's very aggressive. Theoretically, 90 days later, should have little Cole and Nikitas running around.
The fresh spring season delivers tidings Kevin had never expected.
Yeah, just had the results back from Nikita's pregnancy test, and unfortunately they've come back negative. It's quite a big blow for me. I was really hoping she was pregnant. Okay, I was expecting it, I suppose. I suppose I shouldn't really be disappointed because it was a first time mating, and it's very rare that you actually get a conception out of that. So I think I was being a little bit optimistic. However, you can't hide the disappointment. There's good things on the horizon. Things are coming together on the new facility that we're building out called the Kingdom of the White Lion. Nice new leopard enclosure, a lot bigger, trees, nice bushveld, more conducive to leopards. So I guess it's going to be a better facility for them to start their family in.
Months after the upsetting mating saga, awesome breaking news sets Kevin's world alight. National and local papers are buzzing with reports of the legend of the wild black leopard of Lydenburg. There's not a single known case of a black leopard living in the South African wilds. Yet suddenly, many people insist they've seen one stalking the lush highlands of Lydenburg, some 300 kilometers east of Johannesburg. Kevin must go and find out for himself if the legend is real. From the Sky Jeep's cockpit, the view of central South Africa's rocky bush country is awe-inspiring, as it rises and falls over endlessly wooded highlands and dales between Johannesburg and Lydenburg. Kevin is met by Gerry Comacho, the man behind the Ingwe Leopard project. Gerry has been researching the predators of Mpunalanga and has agreed to introduce Kevin to some of the black leopard witnesses.
It was quite interesting because three very different people seen the black leopard. The first one, Brian Jones, interesting character.
My grandpa used to pan gold in Pilgrim's Rest in Barberton, and as a little boy I used to go with him panning up in the mountains. In about 50, 51, 52, in that round there, I was out, I had a catty, my grandpa gave me a catty, and of course I try and shoot birds at that age. I was in a little hill and I looked down this path going, and I saw this animal walk out, and then suddenly I saw it's not a dog, its tail's too long and it's curled up, this is something wrong here. And I was only a little kiddie and I couldn't believe my eyeballs, and then suddenly Turner went away from me. It was a full-grown leopard. It was an adult leopard. It wasn't a youngster, and on its own.
You know, I have no reason to doubt him. He's been in the nature industry for many years, okay, albeit when he was very young he had the sighting. and it was a long time ago, but I have no reason to doubt what he saw. I mean, the description of the long tail, and he came pretty close to it, face to face. The other guy, yeah, Colin Floyd, his sighting also realistic.
One ordinary summer's evening, Colin Floyd and his wife encountered a very special creature.
We were going down to visit my father-in-law in Beetgekraal. They're about 8 kilometers from us. My wife was with me in the car, and we didn't expect to see anything. We normally see a rabbit or a duiker or something, but this time we couldn't believe what we saw. And as we turned into my father-in-law's farm, something came out of the grass and crushed in front of the car. We couldn't believe it. What we saw was a black leopard. We came back the evening and we took all the reading material that we could find.
A bit of a flash in the pan, leopard crossing the road in front of the car, wandering off into the bush. That could have been a leopard on the move between territories. He was, you know, the size didn't really come across clear to me. But again, definitely a black leopard. Definitely leopard behavior, leopard movement. But the one that intrigues me is Connie Zolberg, I think the name is. And her sighting, yeah, interesting one.
The first time when I saw the black leopard, I went out of the house to put the washing there. And then my doggies went underneath the tree. So I looked around, and suddenly I saw the black leopard next to me, about, I think it was 2 meters, it was in the tree. And I thought, no, it can't be, it's not possible. I couldn't see how the leopard disappeared, I can't tell you. It was like a shadow going like that. Nobody will believe you. It's so rare, and I thought, no, don't want to make a fool out of me. That is actually a special thing. Normally you should keep it by yourself, you know what I mean.
Very interesting. Close proximity, tended to be quite a relaxed leopard. Maybe hanging around the area a bit. Maybe a territorial male. Wasn't quite sure whether it was a male or a female, but certainly comfortable with being in that area. The other interesting thing is it seems like typical leopard territory. Broad statement, I know. But a river nearby seems like a natural path for the leopard.
Kevin believes that there are black leopards in these mountains and decides to try and photograph one to prove it.
I think the process is, firstly, I've got to go and ascertain which are the areas I'm going to want to trap. Secondly, I've got to go to those landowners, most of them being farmers, and get permission. Then I think I'm going to work on a process of elimination. I'm going to go and track those areas, get the spoor, try and see what leopard spoor, where they're going, and identify individual spoor, maybe take some castings there, set up traps in the same areas, and then what I'm going to try and do is match the spoors to leopards, picture to spoor, and then it's a process of elimination. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm super confident we're going to find a black leopard.
Kevin's traps sound cruel, but they're actually just cameras, or camera traps designed to capture remote images of wildlife on film. Before Kevin can set up his camera traps, he must do a detailed aerial survey of the region. This will help him to know where the leopards are most likely to be.
321, region approved, and outbound next, Delta Sierra Victor. Got a serious headwind.
Kevin examines the region by doing an aerial transect. Using the sightings as a starting point, he begins to define a logical search area.
Look how vast this terrain is. I mean, it's amazing. Try and find any animal in this kind of terrain is going to be a difficult task. It is beautiful, huh?
He's looking for the kind of habitat that a leopard would make home. Not a single saddle ridge, man-made road, or natural game trail escapes Kevin's attention, for leopards often use these features to find their way through the bush. But it's the mountain's pure water courses Kevin notes with the greatest care. They are a much-loved haunt among leopards. This is not a game reserve. Here there are only farms. Kevin realizes that before he can begin, he will need permission from many landowners, not all of whom are leopard lovers.
Morning.
Morning. Hi, Kevin.
Gert.
With your permission, of course, we'd like to set up a whole lot of traps around this farm.
I suppose it could be arranged. I've had trouble with leopards for quite some time now, and I have consistently lost calves from between 10 and 20 per year to leopards. So it was about time that somebody did something about the leopards, if only take their photographs.
Bert, ons doen 'n projek. Ons soek vir 'n swart luiperd. Maar wanneer ons in die Lydenburg area ingekom het, hoor ons al die ander stories van bruin hyene.
Kevin, ons het baie las met bruin hyenas wat van tyd tot tyd inkom in ons gebied in en vir ons geweldige skade aanbring.
This is definitely brown hyena. It's coming under the fence here. The hair is getting caught on the barbed wire.
How the stories are really going is that these brown hyenas are coming in when these calves are in the kraals here, and they basically just bite them on the head and crush their skull and then drag them away. And apparently what they really like is the soft parts here on the lamb and also the nice nutritious the brain matter. So they like slurp that out and then they leave the rest and then they do the same to the next lamb. So yeah, it's quite a thing when you actually see the size of this skull compared to the size of this little lamb, and you can understand why this animal can actually take down such a beautiful little lamb, hey? Beautiful little lamb.
As Kevin continues his course through the farms in his search area, he comes across a farmer who claims to have seen a black leopard.
I was walking on this river, and I noticed in the corner of my eye there's something moving over there. And yeah, spotted a leopard right here. First moment I didn't believe it. I mean, a normal leopard is a nice spotting anyway. A black one it's marvelous. Can't describe it, eh?
Now that he has the permission to search, his first objective is to see if he can find evidence of leopards. Kevin uses the soundest method of all, the ancient art of tracking, as perfected by the people of southern Africa eons ago. Each leopard track is as unique as a fingerprint. Kevin will collect these tracks one at a time to create a database of all the leopards in his search area. This is a lonely search. He must immerse himself in the tracking. He must become his quarry. Sometimes there are no tracks to follow, and Kevin has to imagine what the leopard is thinking and where it may be going. He tries to sense the territories, where they overlap, where there are gaps. Before moving to a new part of his search area, it's important that he doesn't confuse one leopard's tracks with another. After almost 1,000 kilometers of trekking through the mountains, Kevin has identified 7 individual leopards that he will now try and photograph. Hopefully at least one of them is black. Kevin has a crystal clear picture of where their retreats and routes and secret hiding places are, and this is exactly where he begins to install his camera traps. Camera traps are not the complicated devices you might think they are. They're simply an everyday point-and-shoot camera mounted on a sturdy bracket. Kevin uses a digital camera, which he fixes in a waterproof box. The box contains an infrared sensor, which automatically activates the camera and takes a picture the moment something moves in front of the lens. Kevin plants many camera traps along streams, drainage lines and game paths. He knows this is where the leopards come to drink water and lie in wait for their prey. He places many camera traps in the territory of each of his target leopards. He will not move them until he can associate each unique track with a photograph of its owner. Eventually, one of the photographs has to be that of a black leopard.
Emnyama izela eAfrika kukhomba amandla abafazi wathinta umfazi wathinta ingwe emnyama. You will not find the black leopard. It will find you.
Kevin is amazed at the huge diversity of animals that make their home in what is really farmland. From the little night hunters like this genet to families of bush pigs. There are antelope, bush babies, honey badgers eating the carcasses of cattle, civet that creep around in the dark looking for insects. Even a Meller's mongoose is photographed. This surprises Kevin, as it's not meant to be found here. There certainly is plenty for leopards to eat, from the more common hare to bushbuck. But there is competition too, like this caracal and the ever-present brown hyena. Kevin's placement of camera traps has been spot on. As the weeks roll into months, he begins to photograph his targets one after another. Some of the leopards don't seem to mind the flashes at night. Others are more true to their nature and remain elusive. More and more photographs roll in. The tracking and camera traps reveal intimate details of the leopard's habits. He discovers that some individuals allow others to share territories, probably because they're related or preparing to mate. He develops a detailed picture of where the territories begin and end. Each of these stills helps Kevin to match individual leopards to his detailed record of track casts and track pictures. Once Kevin has matched each photographed leopard in the search area to tracks from his records, he knows any leftover tracks, that is, a track without an owner, may just belong to the legend. Like its tracks, a leopard's spots are unique. This characteristic is yet another helpful forensic clue.
Interesting today, came across a stillborn calf during the tracking sessions, and why I say stillborn, definitely a number of reasons. One of them you could see on the little trotters. It was still yellow and a little bit malformed, so it was a little bit premature. Also the way it was, the position it was in, it was kind of in a, almost like a fetal position. You could see that this calf had never actually been up and moving around. So definitely I trapped the area because I'm convinced there was a leopard that actually had dragged this calf to the position where I found it. Now, it's obviously a leopard that's scavenging on this calf. It wasn't killed by the leopard, but I know it was a leopard by the way it was carried and the way it was dragged. And the interesting thing is that the leopard didn't actually feed on this calf, so I'm assuming it was disturbed.
As Kevin suspected, the leopard returns to the dead calf. But when he inspects the images, he finds something quite shocking.
Oh, man. Morning, Gerry. Yeah, it's Kevin here. How are you? No, not too bad, not too bad. Gerry, the camera traps that I put on that stillborn calf last night, well, I've got the pictures back, and it appears as though this leopard's been snared. It's snared around the waist. Yeah, sure. But we need to do something about it, because if we leave it like this, something's going to happen. I'll see you shortly then. Okay, fantastic. Thanks. Cheers. Bye.
Gerry and Kevin set a cage trap to catch the leopard. It's specifically designed for conservation purposes. As soon as they've caught the leopard and removed the snare, they'll release it again. Not far away, a mammal far more lethal than the leopard is stalking the valley. Man.
I'm out of here. I'm sick of this place. You've come to an area and you chat to the people. They all agree. They all nod their heads. They say, no, we hear you. It's not the leopards. These senseless killings are going to stop. I go and I spend months and months. I've got better things to do at home. There's no hope. I mean, it's pointless me being here. I mean, what, trying to capture a black leopard? For what? I mean, it's going to end up getting shot anyway. It's a stock raider, you know. These are generation after generation. You're never going to get it out of these guys' heads. If ever in my life I found something that's hitting her head against a brick wall. Of course we could have saved this leopard. We could have got to the cage trap, darted this leopard, taken the snare off, re-released it in another area. We never had to release it back into that area. That's what the problem was. We told him that. I understand the predicament of farmers. I mean, I understand it. I'm not stupid. I'm not totally dumb to the subject, but it's not leopards killing these calves. I mean, stillborn calves. This was definitely a stillborn calf. I mean, do you have any idea how many leopards are killed in this country a day?
Trophy hunters in South Africa were allowed to shoot only 75 leopards a year. But in 2004, CITES, the global body for wildlife trade, doubled this number to 150 leopards a year. Critics believe this decision could have a dire impact on South Africa's leopards. Yet CITES admits there are many illegal leopard kills in South Africa annually. Feeling powerless to stop the killings, Kevin returns to Cole and Nikita, where he feels he can make a difference. It is time to move the couple into their new home at the Kingdom of the White Lion, a new safari reserve just outside Johannesburg in South Africa's northwest province.
Oh, excitement! Oh, that's not it! Where's your boyfriend? Eh? You're so excited. They're having so much fun. It's unbelievable. Up and down, all around. Hey. It's like 16 times the space that they used to. It's incredible. They don't know what to do with themselves. Come here, my gilly! Hey, do you like your new home? Hey, Cole? What a nice place.
In the weeks since his return, Kevin has moved mountains to get the Kingdom of the White Lion up and running. But there is something brewing inside him. Elsewhere in Lydenburg, there is unfinished business to attend to.
I've finished all the business in Johannesburg, so I don't have any commitments there that could set me off and I have to worry about. And I'm now deep in the heart of the Lydenburg area. I'm camping here and I feel I'm quite hot on the trail. I'm going to find this black leopard. I don't owe it to myself, but I feel I owe it to leopards as a whole. I owe it to Kola and Nikita for their species. I owe it to a lot of people who have supported me in this. And I tell you, I'm not going to let one incident with a farmer upset the apple cart. I think it's gone beyond that. It's above that now. It's almost become a bit of a personal journey now, and I'm totally committed, totally committed to finding this leopard.
Kevin has planted his tent in the thick of leopard territory. For his mission to succeed, he must now immerse himself in the bush completely.
Yeah, I've decided to move the search area farther north because I've managed to photograph all the leopards in that area. All in all, 6, 4 females, 2 males. Managed to match the spoor left behind with the picture, so basically ticked them off. No black leopards. I think, and this is pretty much backed up from what I've found in the area, is that the black leopards that have been seen around these parts could have been dispersal animals, dispersing to the north or to the west or to the east. So I've decided the next port of call is further north. It is more wilderness, it is a bit rougher, it is harder going. I'm not going to be able to make as much ground in the weeks to come, but gut feel it's the right way to go.
It's been 1.5 years since Kevin's failed attempts to get Cole and Nikita to mate. He cannot afford to fail again. This time the stakes are much higher. It's not only his pride and reputation that are at stake, but mostly it is fulfilling a dream. Kevin continues on his quest. There are others with more menacing intentions.
Kerry, I came early this morning. First thing I found was this dead calf. Saw the bite marks on the neck and went straight back and phoned you.
Let's see what we have here. It's a typical, well, obviously it's been killed by a predator. You can see clearly there's the puncture marks. The one important thing that tells me that it isn't a leopard at this stage is the fact that it's on the nape of the neck, which is very typical of brown eye in this area to found. And the width of the puncture marks is also quite wide, so it's much wider than what leopard puncture marks show. And there's also no scratch marks on the body. It's just turn the carcass over. Yeah, you see, it's already taken some of the ribs out here as well. It's quite a messy carcass. You should find
typically to grab, I mean, the brown eye would grab it and break its neck and then you know, drag it off somewhere and then eat frantically and you know, get off from there. Or
yeah, well, I think the best thing to do is let's just circle the area a little bit and look for tracks.
Yep. See, yeah. You know, this was definitely a brown hyena kill, guys. The animal came from up the road there, from the bushes. You can see the spoor heading in this direction. Came along, got to here, and saw the cows. Now, although I'm very, very happy that the leopard's not the culprit, I must say I'm not ecstatic that it's a brown hyena. This could have implications for the brown hyena, and the senseless killings can turn over to brown hyenas. I think it's not a question really of who did it. It's was it leopards, was it brown hyenas? I think it's a question if humans are going to live with wild animals, and especially in these areas like Lydenburg. I think we need to explain to the farmers that they need to get their housekeeping in order and start putting their youngsters, the young calves, in enclosures at night. Now, this phase of the project is going to be done a little bit differently. I've decided to hire in some helping hands, and this is in the form of 3 expert trackers. A guy named Juan Pinto, Adrian Lowe, and another genius, in my opinion, called Lydenburg, who's developed this amazing device that's really going to help us on this project.
The Cyber Tracker system allows a tracker to record information on a handheld GPS computer. This data can then be downloaded to produce a comprehensive picture of animal activity. This overview will give Kevin a more thorough sense of what is happening in his search area. The Cyber Tracker interface makes it easy to attach a digital photograph of tracks or any other leopard data to a specific GPS coordinate. Over the next 14 days, the 3 tracker teams collect more than 10,000 data entries. Each day, the information is compiled and 6 new individual leopards begin to emerge. No 2 leopards live in exactly the same way, and contrary to popular belief, there is no standard size for a leopard's territory. Some are much larger than others. There are places where the tracks of different males converge, which suggests that there is quite a lot of tolerance between these solitary cats.
The leopard movement hasn't been here last night, so they tend to have a bit of a pattern. On average, they'll eat every 2 to 3 days, maybe every 3 to 4 days. So they'll keep them occupied in a small area, and then from then they'll move, either go and patrol their territory or move to a different area within their territory. So there's a chance that today not finding anything might be a positive thing for tomorrow.
Wasn't the last
Either set it Saturday or Sunday.
This one's been taken out, okay?
Zoom them in there.
This bunch here?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's
5 traps up there.
28.
Even with all this technology in the hands of the world's best trackers, and after 2 weeks of intensive work, the black leopard continues to elude.
3, 4, 5 localities.
That's right, yeah.
Ironically, the legend found a different route to Kevin.
Hello? Sorry, say that again?
I saw something look like a black leopard.
Hey, whereabouts did you see this?
I was busy to bring material in for the fence. We go up to a slope, and suddenly I saw something come towards us. It looked like a leopard. Go out slowly out of the bucket. It was a black leopard.
Okay, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Thanks.
Kevin now knows he is a mere 7 hours behind the legend. If there are tracks, they will be the very first tracks of a black leopard he has ever found. He will no longer be tracking all the leopards of Lydenburg, but just one. There are tracks, and they are quite different to any he has seen before. She is a young female with a twisted toe pad on her left front paw. He won't confuse her with any of his other leopards. Kevin begins to track this cat with a twisted toe. He begins to know her. He must now think and move like the leopardess to stay hot on her trail in this terrain. He must become the creature itself. At last, he feels that all the countless weeks of searching are paying off. The tracks lead straight to the river. And then, they're gone. vanished, as if they were made by a phantom. Kevin remains strong-willed. He has more hope than ever. For the first time, after what feels like a lifetime of searching, he has found Twisted Toe's tracks purely by chance. The area is perfect leopard territory. He is convinced one of his camera traps will photograph Twisted Toe in this very terrain. Kevin is deeply disappointed. In the beginning, it seemed so easy. Simply find and photograph the ultimate emissary for leopard conservation, the wild black leopard of Lydenburg. It's been a week, and he's not seen any fresh tracks from Twisted Toe, and there are no pictures of her in the camera traps. Perhaps she's moved on, even just hours after she was first seen.
You will not find the black leopard. It will find you.
It's been almost 2 years since Kevin first came to Lydenburg. He has tracked and photographed over 15 leopards across more than 200,000 acres, but still no black leopard. Then, in the dust, Twisted Toe's tracks. The tracks are fresh, very fresh. She can't be far. This is Kevin's moment. Where has she been? Could she not find a suitable territory of her own? Why did she come back? Kevin tracks the creature to the cliff's very edge, but then her tracks disappear. Vanished. As if the black leopard exists in legend only.
I've been back for 2 months now, and I'm more convinced than ever that there are black leopard out there. It's not just a legend. It's not like we're looking for a Yeti or a Loch Ness monster. There's overwhelming evidence. And if one can imagine how difficult it is to just see a normal leopard in the wild, just imagine how difficult it is to find a black one. It's literally like looking for a needle in a haystack. I've learned a lot about myself over this expedition, and you know, I've been away from my family, my fiance, and all the animals back at the kingdom for long periods of time. A lot of time to think, but conservation is not really about one man's mission to find a particular animal and protect it. Conservation's about the willingness of people to actually live together with animals that are around them, and in fact lucky enough to live with animals that are around them. And for all the people out there who are thinking, why am I back in Johannesburg and giving up on the search? Don't you worry, I'm never giving up.